The Anaheim Ducks are in a playoff spot now, but they have tough choices to make before the trade deadline. And what they decide may very well determine the future of the franchise. We've got that and more next on today's Locked On NHL podcast.
You're Locked On NHL, your daily podcast on the National Hockey League. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
It is my pleasure to welcome back to the show the host of Locked On Anaheim Ducks, Kyle Kjer. And Kyle, the Ducks have been a pleasant surprise to a lot of people this season. They came close to the playoffs last year. If the season ended now, they'd be in. But what is it going to take for this team to sort of finish the season strong and make the playoffs?
Well, Gil, I think they got lucky at the beginning of the year having a very offensive push, and they kind of just came out of the gates firing on all cylinders and outscoring their opponents. There was a lack of defense and goaltending that was being kind of masked by a lot of goal scoring coming from the young lineup. And then it finally caught up to them. They go on a 9-game winless streak and finally get out of that, coming back, winning 7 in a row. That's their longest streak this season so far. They've had 2 7-game streaks, and then come away with a couple wins towards the end, right before the break. And really, that's the biggest thing, Gil, is they need to work on this defense and keep the game simple. Keep the game in front of them, and really just use those simple angles, and the defense will pay off into offense. I think they finally kind of got that, especially having some of their top line players out, like Leo Carlsson, Troy Terry, Mason McTavish. It kind of just came down to, all right, like, we got to get the nitty gritty. We're going to get these wins one way or the other. And I think the team's really locked into that, and it's helping pay off dividends. And they just have to keep that going forward, and hopefully having a healthy Leo Carlsson will help really just boost what has been a strong performance the last couple of weeks.
Why the inconsistency, though? Because I've seen this team look so good at times, and then, like you said, a long winless streak as well. Why has this team been so inconsistent all year long?
I think it's just, honestly, there's still a lot of youth on this team. There's still a lot of the roster that's under 23 years of age. And you've got guys that are in their second year, like Cutter Gauthier played his first full season last year, played all 82 games. He's missed a couple this year, but still right there. And, you would expect someone like that to kind of have a sophomore slump, but you're not seeing a lot of that on this team. And they're battling through a lot of young mistakes still. And, Beckett Seneca is coming in, playing his first year as a 19-year-old, and he's been playing a very strong and dominant game. And you're getting that youthfulness still in there, but the veterans, I think, are tightening things up. And I think having some of the stars out made guys kind of have to really get that picture. And it just seems like things are finally clicking, and they really just didn't want to be in that win streak anymore. And they took what they figured out what it took to win. And that's just really boosted them forward.
Talk to me about the impact of Joel Quenneville. Here's a coach who has won multiple Stanley Cups. You talk about having a young team, having an experienced veteran coach has got to have an impact.
Oh, absolutely. And the biggest thing that's made a difference, I think, is that, and you hear it from the players themselves, is that it's fun to come to the rink again. And it's fun to show up. And Quenneville's the leading man behind that, is he makes everyone want to come to the rink and work for him. He doesn't do these long grueling practices. A lot of times 30 minutes, that's it. Work on some special stuff that you need to one-on-one time. And with his pedigree, from being a player to coaching, you're going to listen what the guy says. And it seems like these guys are just locked in and dialed in, and that they take what he's saying for everything that he's saying, and they put it forward. And I think we're finally seeing the full Quenneville method start to show. And I think he knew he was going to have some ups and downs, and he's just been riding that and really kept encouraging the players through. And just talking to some of the guys that are in that locker room more on the media side, like Derek Lee and Zach Kavanaugh, they cover the team locally. They're in that room, and that's all they say, is that Quenneville just, he's level-headed, and he sees what needs to be worked on, and he's not ripping the guys apart, and he's making it worthy when they win. There's that reward as well. It's not just down when they're down and nothing when you win. He's making it fun when they win. He's congratulating them and really boosting their spirits, and it's really paying forward.
Special teams has been an issue all season long. They've struggled both on the power play and the penalty kill. What can they do to improve in these areas? Because number one, you need to be good on special teams to make the playoffs. And then in the playoffs, if you get there, the importance of special teams tends to be magnified.
Yeah, I think the special teams are really hard for me because you look at that roster and you look at who these the power play unit and the second power play unit are, and you expect to see a little bit more success out of the players out there. I think some old habits die hard, and you see them get a little stuck flat-footed when they are up a man, and that is a little bit of a pain for me watching when you see that they get stagnant out there, and you see these top teams with the top power plays. They're constantly moving their feet, the puck, themselves. It's just like a whole cycle, and they put those penalty killers into a blender, where when you get that kind of stagnant, repetitive power play, it's just not going to pay out. And I think that also comes from the youth as well. And there isn't that one guy that's really taking charge of the power play and making plays happen, forcing pucks through. I think we saw a little bit of that towards the end, right before the break, but the power play definitely needs to improve. On the penalty kill side, I feel like they go up and down. And when they do have a good high energy penalty kill, they end up either with some odd man rushes the other way or sometimes some shorthanded goals. I think they've already passed their shorthanded goal count from last season this year. And you're seeing that from the aggressive penalty kill. But again, that comes from really realizing that you have to play solid in the back end to really put it into that the front and really have some good offense. And with the man up, it's got to be the speed and the aggressiveness.
As far as the rest of the season goes, the trade deadline will be about a week and a half after we return from the Olympic break. There are some people who say this team is playing with house money now, and there are some people who say if you have a chance to make the playoffs, go all in and go for it. What do you expect the Ducks' approach to be at the trade deadline?
This is kind of my trend the last week there before the break of just trying to figure out what Verbeek's mindset is. You see Artemi Panarin being dangled. You hear names like Jake DeBrusk, Nazem Kadri, Jordan Kyrou, all these potential trade targets. And the more I think about it, though, I think Anaheim is way ahead of where they were expecting to be in regards to how quickly they became relevant and started to play really worthy hockey and quality hockey. And I think Verbeek's just kind of take that success and take those wins and ride with this team. Maybe make some movements with some of the expiring UFAs to try to get some people in. But I don't think he's going to go out there and make a massive splash. I think there's still a lot of young players that they need to lock up that are going to be RFAs. And that's, I think, where his focus is. And you even heard over the break that he was going to be out there watching more junior level games and more on the scouting side of things rather than trying to go out there and watch the Olympics. So it seems Verbeek's not really too interested in going all out this year.
So who are some of the players on expiring contracts who the Ducks may look to move?
Well, you got some of the older guys. Radko Gudas is up there. Jacob Trouba. I think not Mikhail Granlund. Peter Mrazek, the other M. And then there's a couple forwards as well. They're sort of, I think Ryan Strome might be one. And they're I'm drawing a blank without the list. I just went over them the other day. I think there was 3 forwards and a couple defensemen that were UFAs, and then there's some big RFAs though coming up with Leo Carlson and Pavel Mintyukov, Olin Zellweger, and Cutter Gauthier, I believe, and Tim Washi are going to be RFAs.
So how is
a
the
lot of
cap
young
situation to get those guys locked up? Because those are your core guys, a lot of them.
Oh yeah, definitely a lot of them, especially Leo Carlson. Cutter Gauthier, got to get that deal done. They had that kind of up and down with Mason McTavish last offseason. Then Jackson Lacombe gets signed early. He would have been an RFA this year, but they already took care of that with the $9 million contract kicking in. So their projected cap space right now, $11 million, but they do have some players on IR taking away from their total. So they have the movement, but I think that focus is more the RFAs rather than the UFAs and trying to bring someone in that maybe make a difference this year. But I really see Verbeek on that 5-year plan rather than the 1 to 2 year plan.
All right. Well, Kyle, I know it's going to be an interesting finish to the season, and you'll have it covered every step of the way. Why don't you tell our viewers and our listeners where they could find the podcast and where they could find you on social media?
Absolutely. Well, if they're not already, they got to check out that Everydayer Club. You can find us on the Everydayer Club list at Locked On Anaheim Ducks. And we're also on YouTube and wherever you listen to podcasts, Spotify, Apple, all of that jazz. And then on social media at LO_Ducks. If you're on the YouTube, you can see the little hashtag there, or just look up Locked On Anaheim Ducks. Don't confuse us with those green Oregon Ducks. We don't talk about them. We're here for hockey.
All right. Kyle, thank you so much.
Thanks, Gil.
Today's episode is brought to you by your friends at FanDuel. Ever wanted to experience the NBA Finals live and in person? FanDuel is giving you the chance to turn that dream into reality with their NBA sweepstakes. Here's how it works. Use your profit boost on any NBA future, and you'll automatically be entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for 2. That's right, flights, tickets, and the whole experience. If you're already looking at the board and thinking about which team can make a deep run, this is the perfect time to lock it in. I love futures this time of year, whether it's picking a team to win the championship or grab a conference title. It adds that extra layer of excitement to every game down the stretch. And now, not only can you pick cash, but it can also send you to the finals. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA.